But before we do that, let's create a way in our view your TinyMon, view your enemy trainers, and my stats. Let's at least be able to view our TinyMon, and I also want to be able to view the enemy trainers. In order to do that, I'm going to create a new instance method on TinyMon that's going to put out every single one of our TinyMons. This way, in our view TinyMon method, we can see them. And I'm going to make it so that you could see every single one. Yeah, I'm going to make it so that you can see every single one instead of just your TinyMon. And then maybe we'll add something that shows yours, but for the sake of time, let's just do view your TinyMon as view all TinyMon. Okay, so we're going to write a method. All this method is going to do is show TinyMon. It's just going to iterate through every single TinyMon that exists. So we'll do self.all.each do each TinyMon. So all right, for each TinyMon puts TinyMon.name. Do some styling here. Its attack value. And then finally its health. I'm going to make these self. Actually, no, sorry, TinyMon. Because it's getting each of the TinyMon. It's going to put out its name, or it's just going to return its name rather. Return its attack value and return its health. And where do we want to put this? We also want to make this let's make this a class variable. Class method actually. Okay. Save that, and in our menus, when we refresh, or just in general, we're going to want to see all this information. Okay, so all right. So view TinyMon. If you take a look at your body here, we want to see. Let's put the turn number in the header, and then in the body, let's do TinyMon dot. What did we call that just now? Show TinyMon. Move, please. Show TinyMon. And then, as you know, we need to refresh our menus. So this is just going to be this. And let's see if this works. To be honest, I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if I forgot anything, but I think it should. So this should be an underscore here. Did I do it right up there? No. Okay. All right, so let's see. Moment of truth. View your TinyMon. Aha! It's showing us the objects for some reason. I know why. Okay. This is going through, since it's an each, it's going to return. It's going to return the object. It's not going to return these things right here. So let's try it again. We're going to map it instead. Let's see if that works. Okay, there we go. So, so these are all our TinyMon. We got Jarvis with an attack value of 4. His health is 10. We got Melonhead and Manfred. Okay, let's space them. Let's give him some space so that it'll be kind of towards the middle. Let's quit and rerun this. Exit our pry. View TinyMon. Okay. All right, cool. We're gonna do the same thing for our enemy. So we can kind of just copy and paste this into the enemy and then just rework it here. Let's call this show enemies. Change TinyMon to enemies every time. To our enemy every time. They have a name and they're TinyMon, so let's do that. Equals see what they see here. This is going to return the object, so let's try it returning the object. Okay, so it's called show enemies, so let's go into our menu builder, and then when we look at our enemies, we want to do, let's get this into the top there, just like in the other menu. And then right here, we're going to enemy dot show enemies. Okay, change this. Now we will have to go back and add in the headers because now the headers have a variable, so that's going to update on every turn. We can add those in. But for now, let's just see if the enemies show up here. Let's quit this, clear this, run it, get out of that pry there. Okay, so if I do 3, then I should see Gary. Okay, yeah, so I'm seeing Gary, and it puts out his entire TinyMon object. So instead, let's change this to TinyMon.name. And do you want to see that TinyMon's attack power? No, let's leave it up to mystery. Actually, what we'll do is we'll show his health, and we'll make a way to attack him. And when we attack him, his health will go down. Just for the sake of keeping it easy. We can make this as advanced as we want. Okay. It's giving us an array, so let's just grab the first TinyMon in the array. Yeah, yep, okay. Did I save? Yeah. Undefined method name. Oh, I got to do it here too. Okay, so when we look at our trainers here, we'll see Gary. He's got a TinyMon named Melonhead. And TinyMon's Melonhead, Melonhead's health is 10. Cool. Okay. Now, we haven't done anything that ends our turn yet. So, what we're going to do now is create a method that attacks Gary's TinyMon. So what we'll do is we'll do 1, and then we'll just change this to, instead of find an opponent, we're just going to do attack Gary. Obviously, in the real game, you wouldn't do that, but I just want to show you how this would work, how to end a turn, and how to have something in the game happen. Okay, so let's go to our menu builder. We're going to change find an opponent to attack Gary. Then we're going to write a function in our, let's do it in our player. And let's call this attack Gary. Again, it wouldn't be so straightforward, but I just really want to attack this guy. Let's make it a class variable, and then let's grab Gary. Okay. Let's just grab him by doing enemy dot all dot find to enemy. I need to get Gary, so I'm just going to find him. Enemy dot name equals Gary. And then make this equal to a variable called Gary. And then Gary dot we're going to create a new method in Gary that's going to attack his TinyMon for 3. So let's write this thing. What did I call that? I'm sorry. Hurt TinyMon. Okay, and what this is going to do, it's going to go through. All dot each. Do for each TinyMon, we're going to go through, and we're going to decrease their health. TinyMon health minus equals, and then num. And this is going to be that parameter 3 that we put in there. So now each, if Gary had 15 TinyMon, all of them would get attacked for 3. Now I know this doesn't make sense in terms of like what should actually happen in a monster fighting game, but I'm trying to get to the point where something's actually happening in the game. Okay, so now look at the player. We have attack Gary. So now when I click attack Gary, I'm going to want to attack him for 3. The turn's going to end and it's going to restart. And the turn should increment to 2. And we got ourselves a little game where literally all we do is attack Gary or attack his TinyMon. Now what might happen is his TinyMon might die. If he does, it's probably going to break the game because we don't have anything saying if it goes below. Actually, no, it's just going to keep going until it's negative, and it won't matter because we haven't put anything in there that says to do anything other than that. So let's go back to our menu builder, and then in our game logic, in our menu logic, once we hit attack Gary, which is in our battle menu items, we want to run that method that we just built. So we come down into our menu logic. Remember that when we built that menu logic here. And we're going to reference the battle menu UI.set logic. First thing that first menu item is going to do the thing that we just created, which is player.attack Gary. So we do player.method attack _ Gary. Okay, will this work? I think so. Let's head to our game. So, run the game. Let me get rid of this pry. Where is that pry? Supposedly down here. Oh no, wait. It's in our run file. Okay. Quit this, clear this. Okay. Run it. Okay, so let's view our enemy trainers and see who his Tinymon is and what his health is. Okay, so Gary, Tinymon's Melonhead, and his health is 10. My Tinymon, Jarvis, Melonhead, Manfred. That's just all of them. That we didn't create something that shows just yours. All right, but now let's press battle, and then if we press attack Gary, his Melonhead, first of all, the next turn should go, and then his who's he have? He has he has Manfred. No, he has Melonhead. So Melonhead's health is going to decrease by 3. Let's try it. 1. Game broken. Why? Undefined method. Hurt Tinymon. For nil class. Okay, it might have to do with Gary not being capitalized here. So let's change that to Gary, capital. And clear this and run it again. Okay, battle, attack Gary. Okay, good. We got another error, but it's a different one, so that means something's going well. Okay, undefined method health for the enemy. Okay. That's because we're cycling through the enemy class instead of his Tinymon. So let's do at tinymon.each. And let's do this again. Attack Gary. Okay, we got another error. Undefined method turn summary. Did you mean turns summary? That's a weird one. Oh, so what happened, this is kind of cool, is once we hit attack Gary, it was done, it ended the turn essentially. So it worked. However, there's a typo here. This game event should be called turns summary. Let's run it again. Attack Gary. Boom. So now Melonhead should be -3, right? Also, if you take a look, the turn number has incremented. So now we're on to the next turn. Essentially what happened is once we chose to do something, it ran that method that minus Gary's Melonhead, and we can check that here by checking view enemy trainers. Melonhead's health now is 7. Okay, so something happened and it moved to the next turn. If you look at the lines of code, you're in this while loop here, refreshes the menus, start the game. We're moving through the menus. Once we hit something that basically ends the menus by returning, it doesn't go to the next menu, it just, something happens. In this case, it hit that attacked Gary. It found Gary and attacked his Tinymon. Since this isn't prompting the menu again, that's the end of that turn. And then what happened was it hit this turn summary. We don't have any game events. I haven't told you about those yet. So nothing happened. And then it incremented the game clock, went back around here. Sorry, went back around here, refreshed these menus, and then started up the main menu again. So if we go back, and then it put us back at the main menu. Okay, so our game is working now. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you about the game events here. So now what would happen is I would want a game event that tells me Gary's melon head lost 3 health. I want to puts that and I want to make it green or red or whatever I want to do. Store that game event, and then during this turn summary here, I want to see that happened during that turn, and then the game will start, or the next turn will go. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Please star my repo. Please subscribe and like my video. And I will see you in part 3.